Oh, hello. I got my intro working again now. Feeling a little bit better about that, but no, after all, it did need to happen. Um, but only works kind of in one scenario, and it worked properly before. I think it's a bug. I think it's a bug in OBS, but like everything, too tired to BQA for everything I single use. I just, but in essence, for the times I've shown you my OBS, you'll know that I usually have a preview window and a live window. And the preview window shows me what I can send to be live next, so I can line up various things like a lace window or my desktop or whatever and have it check what's showing before I show it to you. If I have that showing, even though it's known as the preview window and then there's the program window, which is the actual window that's shown, if I tell it to show and start the timer on the countdown screen, it doesn't. Just flat doesn't. But the moment I have it on only have a program window, it works fine. Which just frankly is a little bit weird. So I don't know. But like everything, I've got it working, and I've now got the yawns. It's how typical. I am actually really tired today. I have been busy today, so before we start getting into the lace a little, let's tell you, while no one's listening, what I got up to. So, my hall carpet, frankly, looks like it went through the trenches in the wall. It should be a pale, kind of beigey, frankly nasty colour. When I first got these dogs, they had travelled 72 hours in a crate with other dogs peeing and pooping on top of them because the crates were stacked. And they were thoroughly traumatised. I did not originally plan for this to be how I got dogs, but I'd already fallen in love with them and named them before I discovered they were not in the country. Otherwise, I would not have done it. If I'd known up front, I would never have agreed, no matter how cute they are. So I had to let them off because they'd never been indoors, they'd only ever been outside. They had no concept of this isn't a good spot because, well, outside, every spot's a spot. And so, to start with, I didn't dare tell them off. Now, there's telling them off and telling them off, obviously. And when I caught them doing things they shouldn't, I'd tell them no, and, obviously in toilet terms, I'd take them outside, and then when they did something, I'd go through the entire cheerleader. Hey, naughty count. I'd go through the whole cheerleader routine. The problem was, my whole carpet is not in my line of sight. And they are not stupid. As a result, my whole carpet took a hit. Many hits, in fact. All the hits, in fact. As a result, it's kind of black to deep brown in many cases. Now, for Nautical, it has lightened somewhat with drying. It is still not 100% dry, but it is predominantly dry. And I'm not going to say it looks perfect, but I possibly can do you a picture now that might show you the difference, because obviously, for example, during the day, I don't tend to shut the toilet door. As a dog, a former dog owner, I'm sure you appreciate that dogs often want to come to, so and I live alone, therefore, why shut the door? It's, wasted effort. As a result, the stain kind of goes into the downstairs toilet. Not because they went in there, just because, well, the stain goes in there. And as a result of walking past it and on it many times, so did the colour. So inside the toilet is distinctly a different colour now to outside. And in fact, outside was worse. Now the toilet looks even worse, because now it looks far worse than the outside. So having just done the emptying of input, I was actually really pleased to see the huge difference, because it was not something I'd given a huge amount of consideration to at the time. But yeah, I'm really kind of surprised. I mean, obviously there is a bit of a tide line, because I didn't do the whole hall carpet, but I'm doing it in chunks because it's not hard going, but it's hard going on my back. So if I'd set out to do the entire carpet, I would never have gone and done it. Setting out to do a chunk, i.e. kind of the amount that I did, not that it's hugely apparent, but the picture was basically of the chunk. If I do that, it'll take me 3 or 4 days to do the whole hall, or 3 or 4 goes to do the whole hall. However, so I was just wondering what that noise is. I think it's an aeroplane. It does mean that I have got somewhere. I have finally proceeded in doing something, rather than just kind of going, that looks terrible, and moving on. So I'm feeling slightly pleased with myself. I also have written a little thing. Now, I've run out of tokens for today, of course I have. Still not entirely sure how, and I do mean that with genuine puzzlement. So YouTube allows me 10,000 API calls. Now, I've got about 400 videos, well, it's about 318. And I've noticed that I tagged a lot of them in a stupid category, so I want to change them. So I have written a thing that A, allows me to upload my videos, and all I need to do is basically provide title and description, because everything else is the same. And it will upload the video for me, rather than me having to do the 10,000 clicks. So what I can do, of course, is leave it running and alter the few things, like pick the file, hit go. Now, it only took 3 or 4 attempts, and most of that was working out why it said F off, you're not authorised, when, well, frankly, it's me. It's because I hadn't added me to the list. Apparently, the fact that I wanted it was not an indication that I wanted to test it. Not quite sure how Google worked that out. But when you apply for Google API and you say I want the YouTube stuff, and you say I want it to be, I want it to go into testing, because you have to start there, obviously. Because otherwise you have to send them the whole thing. If I wanted to make it a public tool, I've got to send it to them. Whereas if I do this, basically it can stay in testing forever. Now, obviously it does limit the APIs, but 10,000 sounds a lot. So I got it doing a list, and it got the list of videos, and then it would go, you're not authorised to do that. So we had a bit more fight over the authorisation. And then it downloaded the list, and it started updating the videos. Fine. But apparently it's now used 10,000 tokens, so I need to check how... maybe I'm being grossly inefficient. I will check that, because that's always possible. But didn't think I was. Not off the top of my head. But, that's right, put my elbow in a wet patch. I know, it sounds horrible, doesn't it? I put a wet patch on my countertop, before I've done the washing up as well today. Um, this may not sound much, but when the dishwasher's knackered and you're not in the mood, it actually is. It may not sound like a huge day of productivity, but I've written an app, I've cleared a bit of floor, I've done my washing up, so I've got clean bowls and knives and forks and shit. Could have done some more, but didn't. Tomorrow I hope to do a bit more of the carpet. Yeah, God, I hope so. I might even try redoing the same bit of carpet, see if it improves. But it does look a whole lot better in person. It really, really does. But yeah, I've been productive today. So tonight I'm tired, me, because, well, I haven't really had to do anything for ages. So well, I've got 3 bowls, 1 plate, 3 pots, and a handful of oven sheets, and one kind of chicken, kind of slightly, a tray with rounded up edges to catch the juices. That's the best description of that. So I've just realised there is a big bowl I forgot to do, and some knives and forks. And that's the problem, isn't it? Is when you're staying on top of it, it's fine. The moment you don't, and now there's a bit more than just staying on top of it, it can become quite difficult. And there's no real reason to it other than it is. And for those of us who have lived in the world of depression for a while, I saw a post on something the other day, and it said, I don't understand why people don't wash and shower every day. That's disgusting. And someone else had written back, because they're depressed. Because the idea of even getting out of bed is monumental. The idea of any form of unnecessary effort is too much. And so while, yes, when in a healthy state of mind, having a shower every day and all of that is something maybe they do, when they're depressed, it's not important. Compared to everything else, it's nothing. There's so much going on and it is so draining that the tiny amount of effort that they've got is not going to be effectively wasted on, I don't know, smelling nice for people they're not going to meet. And it's kind of very true. For those of us who do not go out and meet people every day, one of the least important things is how much you smell. Because, surprisingly enough, humans are not very good at telling whether they smell or not. It's like you can't really tell if your own breath smells, right? We all do the into your hand and sniff, and we've all tried it, but it doesn't really work. Now, occasionally you sniff your armpits and go, holy crap, then you know it's bad. Hey, Nate Kisser, how you doing? But when you live alone, perhaps, and maybe with some animals, because the animals sure don't care, the burning need to conform to society's choices. Now, bear in mind, when many of us were children, you bathed once a week. You scrubbed your pits and privates every day, but you didn't bath. You used a hand flannel in the sink, scrubby scrub, basically a light wipe of the to get the worst off, and that was deemed perfectly normal. It is only since then that one thing that I've noticed, and this is very much a weird observation, back in the 70s when bathing once a week was normal, washing your hair once a week was normal, tin bath in front of the fire, it's funny how many more skin conditions we have now. It's funny how more people today have problems with their skin, whether it's their hair, whether it's their face, whether it's, now I'm not saying there weren't people with problems, because of course there were people with problems, but it's a little bit like, are there more people with ADHD, autism and all of those kind of things than there were in the 70s, or are we better at recognising them? Similarly, more people have cancer today. Is that because we can now find it more, or because they genuinely, more people have cancer? Now, I do think there's a little of both, do not get me wrong, especially with the cancer thing. Having had it twice, I do feel that there is, because obviously before lots of things were detected, you'd die of it, they'd discover it in your autopsy, if they did one. Today, they can find like 3 cells in your body that have got cancer, and they know that various blood markers are indicative of having cancer and all these kind of things. So they know to go hunting. But at the same time, are more people today having cancer, autism, ADHD, or are we just detecting it more? Now, there was always some wonky kids at school. There was always the git who was the classroom monkey, and just as there was always the kid who was the classroom swot. And I'm dropping frames. You settled down now, computer? Thank you. So is it a case of there are more today? And I think the answer is there is, because autism, for example, is a spectrum. Technically, therefore, everyone is on it, because the spectrum ranges from not to exceedingly. Now, obviously, you're also on the spectrum at not. Yeah, it had a bit, my thing had a bit of a wibble. So, I don't know. I do feel that a lot of these things are more common now. Now, lots of people have said, oh, it's because of the joined injections that you get as a children. Well, I didn't get none of those. I threw up at the first one, so they only ever got to give me one. They never got to give me all of them. So, I didn't get none of that. So, that kind of rules that out. Yes, both my parents smoked, so maybe the cancer is a byproduct of my parents, but also as a result of the car accident. Because when I had leukemia, one of the things that I was actually really quite annoyed at was the fact... Hi, Bailey. One of the things that they said when I first went into hospital with leukemia was that it's very common for people who break their femurs, like I did. I mushed the 4 inches of it. Well, first of all, how come no one thought to mention this beforehand and test me occasionally to see? But if it's common, why does no one mention it? Why is this never a part of the statistic? So I don't know. Let's get on to that, Mackie. So it was just one of those kind of comments that sit... Well, what's common? But apparently, if you've had, I would say anything above 50-50 is common. So people who had an accident like mine and bust their leg like I did, there's, the nurse was saying it is common, as in quite a few of them will end up, and you're like, but everyone keeps saying they don't know how this happens. Well, you're saying that there is some hint at one or one of potential causes. Because obviously your femur is one of your biggest blood producing bones. I'm confused now, Naughty Cat. Can you ask a whole question? If you break them and lose, as I've just surmised, if you lose 4 inches of them and smash it into infinity like I did, you end up with leukemia. According to the nurse, this is common. Because it is one of your biggest blood producing bones, and as a result, trauma to it is a hell of a shock to your body. Doesn't explain why it took 20 years for it to happen, but well, that's kind of what I did. But the 4 inches in the middle got completely mushed, so they bolted it back together. I don't know. I'm not the nurse. I do not have statistics. But that's my point. They don't provide that as part of the statistics. And why is this wet, dog? Everything's fucking wet in this house. Because certain animals keep licking things. Yeah, I don't know. And that's my whole point, was that, if when I'd had my car accident, someone had said, things you should look out for in the future are, well, would have been nice, right? But no one said nothing until I was in hospital, puking my guts up, and the cancer nurse I had kind of goes, oh yeah, it's quite common. What do you mean? So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's just. But what if? We're not stupid enough to believe that we know everything, and that, maybe some of the things that as humans we do lead us to have certain problems. Certainly the rise of the number of children who are autistic is quite scary. If you go back 20 years, it was highly uncommon. Now it's almost every single one of them. And so with that in mind, it does feel like there must be some form of environmental contributor, even if it's not a cause. But that would also mean that the parents would need to feel a level of responsibility for the actions of their child, whereas right now an awful lot of these diagnoses seem to be a reason why not to take responsibility for the actions of your child. Oh, well, he's got ADHD. Yeah, but you're not even making him try, love. Well, no. Whereas children in our day were slapped hard enough until we tried. Which was a conversation I was having with my neighbour the other day, was how, you know, in this day and age, they have so many considerations and so many things that they can get. And I mean, at school, depending on how much you're deemed to need, i.e. how much of a little bitch you can be about it all, because of course the difference between can't and won't is hard to diagnose 100%. You can have someone to read your exam to you, someone to write your answers down for you, additional time, a room on your own so that you're not distracted by others, and of course they now get water and toilet breaks, whereas we did not. In our day, you were made to be a pariah if you so much as dreamed of needing a wee in the middle of the exam, irrelevant of how long it was. If you needed a wee, hang on to it, love. No one dared ask to go. And yet, oh, they're all so stressed. From what? I've seen some of the contents of their exams. Some of the stuff that they do at 15, 16 is stuff you and I were doing when we were 7 or 8. Which makes you wonder what they've been doing all these years, you know. Oh, but they're also stressed. From what? I mean, half the children don't even seem to get homework these days. So how's everyone been? What have they been up to? I totally understand, Bailey. I absolutely do. As I say, I had a very productive day, but I'm also now absolutely whacked because I've done it, so. Are you going to lie down, or are you just going to be a little cow about it all? Hmm? I don't really get it. I don't see how effectively our driving, you know, I know that we live in a digital age, hello, but while in a way it makes sense to have one digital ID that ties everything together, because bear in mind they do know that your driving licence is your passport, you can share a photo after all, they know your national insurance number, they know all of the things about you. So from a knowing things about you basis, it doesn't really matter. It's not like they're gaining new information. But it does seem a little odd that rather than say going digital driving license that you can kind of have on your phone and it counts as a valid form of ID. I kind of get that. I would have concerns in that it does mean for all of the people who lose their phone that your digital ID is now in the hands of the wrong people. And they have proved on a number of occasions, despite many protestations from Apple and all the rest of them, that, oh no, you can't just hack in. Well, yeah, you can. So then they've got access to your digital ID, and they can do a lot of things as you. And that would worry me. I don't see how that's going to be a good thing. Now, as I say, I do appreciate that having a digital driving licence that you can have on your phone that effectively takes them to a link for identity purposes, so if they find your body, or for as a backup or an alternative. So for example, I've gone to job interviews in the past where I've had to take passport, birth certificate, or equivalent to prove I am who I said I was. I'll also point out that my previous employer, despite working for them for nearly 20 years, middle of last year, well, early, I think it was early as kind of Easter actually, wrote to me and went, we haven't got record of your proof of the right to work in the UK. Well, I haven't left it since I was old enough to have my own passport, so you kind of do. Because I gave you it. I showed you it. And in fact, here on my HR thing, it says we have, you know, this person on this date approved that they had seen my stuff. Oh, well, when we transferred to a new system, no one checked and we didn't transfer them. That sounds like a you problem, honey. I'm sorry, just because you approved a new system, didn't check it, because of course, I've moved since then. I don't know where the fuck my birth certificate is. It's not communist Russia. I do not have to produce papers at the end of every street. So I do not know when my birth certificate is because, well, I don't generally need it. I've got a driving licence and that's sufficient. And it does seem odd to me that we need to have a digital ID. However, knowing that they want one, as long as it's got a lot of security on it, as in you can't just get into it with waving my face in front of it because they proved that pictures work, or that you can't, you know, because it doesn't mean that they can't get at it, if you know what I mean. It's got to be done in such a way that it is protected properly. And so I do kind of struggle with how they're going to keep that secure enough if it's going to be the mother of all ID systems. Because, I mean, it saves people like me, but how many hoops will we have to go through to actually get one? You know, how long before someone finds a way of basically making fake ones? It just doesn't feel like it's... I mean, I haven't heard enough detail on it, but it doesn't overly feel well thought out. Just because, if it's going to be on your phone, people can hack that. And if they can hack that, well, then it's not worth the digital paper it's printed on, is it? It's just yet more hoops to prove that... to prove something that... I mean, possibly a very unpopular opinion. A lot of this is being done to prove that the people working have the right to work here. They want to do a job. Why is it such a problem? I mean, we have quite a few professional unemployed people in this country who not only don't have a job, they won't have a job. They will make out ways not to have a job. And so, if someone wants to do a job, and... well, exactly. It doesn't seem difficult to control. And given that, you know, the Inland Revenue have more information on you than you ever dreamed possible, they would know if you're working one or more jobs because, well, if you're being paid, I mean, obviously being paid cash in hand, they wouldn't know. But then they wouldn't, nor does anybody. So, you know, you should be able to know if they've got more than one job, if they're the same numbers being used by multiple people, because, well, they'd suddenly have lots of jobs, wouldn't they? You know, this has got to be... It feels like one of those madcaps. It's a solution, but it's a solution to a problem we didn't really have. In that there were other ways of sorting this, but at the same time, going digital, exactly. So, an awful lot of the more dubious level jobs, you know, so the guy who comes round saying, "Here, missus, do you want your windows washed?" Do you really think he's going to present you a national insurance number? No, I'm not saying he doesn't have one, but it's not a question you generally ask them, because you're not paying them. You pay them 10 quid or whatever to wash the windows of your house. I'm a bit out of date with window washing, but, you know, the guy who comes to, you know, to offer to, you know, to cop the tree in your garden, it's... well... and I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I do think that there are downsides, but this is when it always looks wrong. Let me show you. Just focus for camera. So I've done the stitch here, but this line is underneath. Now what happens is that when I do the next one, grab a pen, it sorts itself out. But until then, it looks really, really wrong. And makes your brain hurt while you're doing it. So, and that is because I'm a dumbass. It is wrong. I can't see which thread's on top of which. Right. What did we forget to do? We forgot to do the twists. I thought I'd done them. But apparently I didn't, so. Which won't help with the way it is to dry. I mean, it still looks the same, but at least it's right now. Oh, I am so hot now. peaches. I have sleepy puppies. And no, I didn't prick any holes today. Maybe that's why I got all domesticated. Because we all know that avoidance of something is best done by doing something else. My hip's playing up. I have to take some painkillers when we're done. Excuse me. Alright, little man. hello. It goes. It definitely goes. Oh. It definitely goes. I'm still slightly raw about the mistake that we made, or I made. You guys didn't do the thing. That we've left. But I just couldn't go back that far. And the fact that it's got a friend doesn't help either. It's still not sitting right that I've left it, but at the same time there's no way I'm going back to do it, so I'm just going to be salty about it for a while, I think. I mean, we've gone back quite a way to fix things, but there's quite a way and quite a way. So, for example, if this continued down and I got to the bottom here and I noticed a mistake back here, well, I only really have to undo this side bit. But the fact that it was slap bang in the middle means I have to undo the middle and the side. And, well, it was too far back. It just truly was. And of course, as always, only demonstrated when you took the photo and then you go, oh look, I found that up. Great. Wish a lot more of these mistakes were more apparent as you did them. Or at least the next stitch on when you look at it and go, that doesn't look right. I wish it looked more wrong at the time. Because part of you does wonder how you screw it up. I mean, it just kind of always seems to be you managed to screw up more than you thought you did. And I think that is an awful lot of it, is the view that we have of the work. So I really see this bit here. You have a better view because you look down upon it. And to remind you all, of course, you can move the camera and zoom in and zoom out and stuff. But my view is basically of all pins. Other than where the snakes are and I can see the bigger holes, the actual pattern underneath is almost impossible to see. And so it isn't. But when you come to it, you'd like to think that you'd notice if it wasn't twisted right or didn't sit on the pin nearest you, but apparently I don't. So either I'm not paying enough attention or I'm a bit simple. That's definitely an option. But it doesn't make it any better that I missed it, you know? I keep pinning it. I get bored of pinning it because none of you ever play with it. I spent ages on that. You can play with the camera. You can zoom in and move left, right, up and down. Well, this is it. Sometimes it's obvious you're screwed up. In short, I've completely forgotten because I spent ages on it, put information up that I'd done it, no one played with it, and so I've forgotten what I've done now because it's been that long and no one's ever played with it. So pick around. The worst you can do is make it zoom in up your nostril. Bear in mind, no, you can't, and it doesn't move that much to the right or to the left or up and down. And zooming in is about the most important thing. So fuck about with it. The worst thing that can happen, you can always hit reset, you know. Ah, thunderflies. Fucking make you itch like a bastard, they do. Sorry. We get quite a lot of those here. And it is absolutely infuriating. That's not right somehow. hate wasps. I've got a personal thing about wasps. I'm also allergic to wasps, as it turns out. I didn't find out till I was like 50 because it took me till that long to be stung. But once I got stung, it was I reacted really badly. So that was not a joyous day. I was asleep, minding my own business, and I woke up with this big owl in my arm where it had obviously stung me. I think a normal person would have gone to the doctor or the emergency room, yeah. I was barely capable of standing upright. I was so dizzy and so hot and just really nauseous. But I felt it land, I felt it sting me even though I was asleep. And I kind of went, and I heard it bounce off the radiator because I flicked it so hard. Then I heard the dog go, nom, 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 purr. So it was definitely not healthy by the time that had finished. But I then spent the next 8-9 hours barely able to stand. So I don't relish being stung again, And when I spoke to the doctor, they went, "Oh yeah, that sounds like you're allergic to it. Did they give me an EpiPen?" Did they ask? So no, I just now live in fear of being stung again, But I'm working on the principle of it took 50 years to find out. Maybe I won't live long enough to see a second one. Now, I'm going to be a bit of a wet flannel. And kind of give up for the day. For my tiredness and my effort, my ability to think straight is rapidly declining. And you still haven't played with a camera. Let's take the obligatory photograph. Look for mistakes. Not seeing. Well, do more of it then. Do like up 100. I mean, $150 is too much. Go up, say 100. It is one of those things. Is that I mean, that should be 400. That's 400. And that's as high as that up as that will go. But yeah, if you do like zoom for, so if I reset, hang on. So it should be zoom 400. So there you go. And then you've got to work it to go up a lot, so up. See, it doesn't always kind of... See, that seemed to go down, not up. But I know it goes up more, so sometimes I don't... I swear it's kind of weird. It's almost like... Yeah, that goes down. That's fair enough. But there you go. You can do it if you want. But it is acting. Yeah, it's like those are fixed numbers. So if this was 0, you have to give it the right number, kind of thing, if that makes sense. But yeah, it means you can zoom in and look at what I'm doing while I'm still doing it. Yeah, you can't go right or left too much, but it's worth a try. So, left 1000 or right minus 1000 will probably take you to the other side. And you'll probably just be able to see the microphone. Either that or the edge of my desk. Anyway, now you know for next time. Well, that's okay. It's what it's there for. I mean, you know, why not? I think, hang on. So that's as far left as it goes. So that's my mouse. You can see just behind my head there. It doesn't... Left and right doesn't have a lot, but it does do a reasonable up and down option. I know the feeling well, Net Kisser. I've been sitting on my arse not doing any work, and today I did some housework. King's nearly killed me, which is why I'm quitting early today, because I want to go sleep. I don't think I'll be up till 4 o'clock this morning. Oh, tomorrow morning, whenever. I don't think I'll be up till 4 o'clock again. That definitely will not be a thing. I don't think but I do want to do a few things before I go to bed. But anyway, it doesn't help that I'm surrounded by sleeping dogs. When your dogs are sleeping and snoring gently, and I'm not talking like the grinding gravel kind of snoring, I'm talking the gentle kind of soothing, but like purring snoring. It's very soporific. And I have two very snoozy dogs. Two very, very snoozy dogs. She was having a nightmare earlier today, and just by putting my hand kind of in front of her nose so she could smell my hand calmed her an awful lot. So I don't know what it was about, but she seemed to be like frantically chasing something. But putting my hand in front of her, she calmed down. It was like she'd lost me in her dreams. But I'm still here, so. Anyway, time to go and see if my hall carpet's dried a bit more. And I bid you all farewell for today. I hope that you will return tomorrow. I shall try and be more awake tomorrow. But it's been a pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves, and I shall see you again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.